Hey everyone. So in this episode, we're going to be looking at how to handle images for our blog. So we're going to look at uploading images and serving them, and also how we're going to handle static images as well. So in our www root folder, go ahead and make a new folder called content. And in that folder, we want to make a folder called static. So go ahead, expand this, and in here, let's add another folder called blog. So in our blog folder, we're going to be storing images there for our blogs, and in our static folder, we're going to be serving static images. So go ahead and go add existing item, and I have my image stored on here. So to use this in a view, let's go and use this on our index page. Just click it and drag it on here. All right, so let's run this. Let's open developer tools. All right, so at this point, the image is not going to be displayed, and that is because our application is not aware that it needs to serve static files. Okay, so we go to our startup, and in our app, we want to add use static files. This will tell the app that if you hover over here, it literally says what it does. Enable static files for current request path. So this is the default folder. The www folder is where all your static files should be stored. Now, if we refresh the page, the image should be there. Okay, cool. So there it is. Pretty big image. So let's quickly go ahead and give it a width of 500. Okay, cool. Well, later in the next episode, we're going to be styling the website. So just bear with this ugliness for one more episode. So now we want to go ahead and be able to create dynamic, what's called the dynamic images, which we're going to be uploading when we create the post. So for that, we need to specify the path that we're going to be storing it. So let's go to our app settings, and let's create a variable path. And in here, let's say images, right? And we're going to go www root content blog. So this is where we're going to be storing our files, images. So later on, if we want to copy this and make like video, you can do that. But for now, this will be enough. So now we want to handle file uploads. So in our model, let's get post. And all we want to store in the database is basically a string, which is going to represent the name of the file. Since we are going to know where it's going to be stored, all we need is the name of it. And you don't, the images you add dynamically, you don't want to add them in this manner. You want to sort of stream them from a controller. So I'll show you how to do that. So go ahead, add this image property to your post, and let's post image. Let's go ahead and add a migration link. I forgot the add word. All right. Gotta exit models. So you gotta be in the root of the project for entity framework to work. So it's working. It's making the migration. Cool. EF database update. Cool. So let's go see what we get in our database. If it's there, databases, my blog, tables, posts, view data. Okay, so there it is, and it's empty. Okay, So at this point, we want to make a new view model and a post view model.cs, right? And we want it to have the following properties. So this is what we're going to be capturing on the front end, but we're not going to be capturing a string here. What we want to change the string to is an iForm file. iForm file is basically an interface for any sort of file, image, video, and let's set the default value of it to null. So we have title, body, ID. Okay, good. Let's close all of this. So I have the post view model. Where do we want to use it? Since the post is for the database, and this post view model is for when we want to create the actual post. So we're creating in the control panel, and this is where we want to use it. So let's return new post view model if there is no ID. Let's actually put brackets here for clarity. And here you can see we're sort of getting a existing post. So again, let's return the post view model and let's basically initialize it with the data that we have in our post. Let's copy this a few times. ID, body. Okay. And in here we want to submit a post view model. And let's call this VM and create a post here. New post. And let's just say the same here. And image equals but let's say handle image. So that's what we have left to do. Okay. So again, we're creating a post and we handle an image. So now what we want to do is we want to go into our edit view and we want to make sure it uses the post view model. Let's copy this and make it for image. And let's say image here. And let's debug this. Press F5. So while it's loading, go into control panel and let's put a breakpoint here. So let's quickly sign into our admin panel and click edit. So you can see this automatically generates an image. So again, these ASP4 helpers, this is what basically specifies these attributes of type, ID, and name. Now let's just quickly choose any image and submit it. And you will notice that it's null, right? So the reason for this is if you're posting a file in a form, you have to specify the encryption type, all right? And it has to be multi-part form data. So make sure you don't forget this. Otherwise, anytime you post a file, this is what's gonna basically fail when you try to post. So let's run this, make sure it works. Now let's make sure we're receiving a file. Boom, let's choose a file again. Inspect this. And there it is. So you can play around with this. You can see it has the file name, etc. And yeah, so again, stop this. You can see that we get the file upload. Now we want to handle the file storing. So let's close all of this so it's nice and neat. Close these two. Let's go into our data. Now, data is where we want to basically create our file manager. So just like the repository handles sort of read and write from the database and abstracts our calls, the file manager is going to do the same, but for the file system. So go ahead and create an interface. Task string and save image. And we want to save an image, so, and the type of an image is not iForm file. And let's call it image. All right, so this is what we have in our view model, and this is what we want to pass to the to our file manager. So let's go ahead and make our file manager. All right, so in here, let's quickly make a constructor. And we want to inject iConfiguration. Since in our app settings here, we have our path for the images. And let's say config. All right. And let's say image path. So conif, right? I'll quickly rename this to config path and images. Images, yeah. So that's correct. Let's quickly create this. Oh, nope. Right. So now that we got that, let's inherit from our iFile manager. Right. And we want to save the image here. So first things first, what we want to do is, if for some reason when we publish this, it's not going to include this directory by default because you don't want to upload the blogs and the images that we have here on our development environment. We want to make sure that this actual directory exists. So let's go ahead, type if directory and import system.io exists and type in image path. Actually, let's create a save directory, save path. And here we want a path.combine. So the reason we want to use this is because if you just sort of use normal strings like path, folder, blah, it can cause all sorts of errors, and you should be using this method basically. So okay, back on track. If the directory does not exist, don't forget the exclamation sign here. We want to go ahead, directory dot create directory, save path. Okay, so let's go ahead and var file name. So we can get the file name here, right? But you don't want to do this. So I'll comment this out and I'll just say the reason why. Basically, in Internet Explorer, if you try to upload an image, it's not just going to have the image name like image.jpg. It's going to have like the full file location of the image. Like it's going to look something like this. I see user who image.jpg, right? And you don't want to be basically making a workaround for if you're going to be using Internet Explorer and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and create our own file name, and let's make image, and here we're going to say date time now and convert it to string. Okay, and in here you can specify the format of the string. So dd for day, big M's for month, small y's for year, and let's say HHMMSS. So this is basically just going to say hours, minutes, so it's going to convert it to this. So we also want to add a MIME type. So is it .jpeg? Is it .png? And the way we get this, let's get the MIME here. So image dot file name substring, and again image dot file name last index of dot. Okay, so it's gonna get the index, the position in the string where the dot's located. So that's gonna be the very last, the dot right before the MIME type. So it's gonna get the dot and the 3-4 letters after that. Unless we specify the length here, then it's just gonna, if I specify 1, it's just gonna get the dot. Then if it's a .jpeg, if we specify 2, it's gonna get .j, but we just want to get the rest. So that's the MIME type, and let's put it here. Okay, so we have the file name, we have the MIME type. Let's go ahead and use a using statement. So what using does is it basically limits an disposable object to this scope. So it gets created here, and when it exits here, it gets disposed of. It's basically broken. So same as if we would access a controller, it would create an instance of that controller, and once the request is finished, it kind of goes right, bye bye. So save our file stream equals new file stream, and then here we want to combine our save path and our file name. Okay, and we also want to specify the file mode that we're going to be creating. Sorry, not in the path.combine though. We want to specify it for the file stream. Okay, so we have this file stream, and now all we have to do is image.copy to async, and just give it a file stream to copy it to. So if you think of a file stream just as a tunnel created to the folder, right? So as soon as we specify this, there's like a tunnel to the folder, and we're just dumping the image into the stream, and it just gets put in the folder. Don't forget to call await, and let's make this async. At this point, the image is going to be written, and we want to return the file name. Since, as I said before, we already know where this is going to be located, we just want to sort of get the file name. We just want to know what the image is for the blog. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our program aware of the file manager, and we do it the same as the repository. So file manager. Oh, file manager. Import this. All right, I misspelled the manager. So let's make sure, yes. Oh, cancel. Okay, so make sure you have file manager everywhere. I'm pretty sure I made a. Nope. So our program knows about our file manager now. So let's go ahead back into our panel controller, and same as we do with the repository. Let's copy this. File manager. File manager. Let's copy this. make a global one. Okay, so remove this breakpoint. So here's where we want to handle the image. So let's get file manager, save image, vm.image. And because this is a task, we want to await on it. So when it creates this, it's going to populate this image with a string. Okay, so one thing we want to make sure that happens is, let's put this in a try catch exception e. And let's just write line e message, and let's just return error. So if there is an error that happened, the image will be error. Okay, so at this point, let's go ahead if we can basically save an image to the file system. So let's run this, see what happens. Admin panel, edit, and let's grab a coolest image. I'll leave a link where you can get free images and all that, and where I got the images that I wanted to use for this. So let's submit. Make sure we can hover on this. Yep, so here's our image. And let's press F11 and go into 11. All right, so now we're in our save image. So let's see what we get in the save path. Okay, so this directory exists, so it's not gonna try to create the directory. So let's see what we get for our MIME type .jpeg. For our file name, there we go. You want to make sure your file name doesn't have any spaces, okay? And that will cause all kinds of problems. Okay, create the file stream. So if you inspect it, you're not gonna see much in here, but yeah, basically this is what we're gonna create. Let's await this, okay? And let's see, block. And there is our image, okay? And what we're returning is just an image. Let's just press F5. Cool. So let's see our database, since we updated a post, and boom, yep. So here's an image. So I know this is a long episode, but I already said we're gonna style the website in the next one, so let's go ahead and try to get the image. So let's stop running this, and in our file manager, we want to add another property. So not file stream. So same as the file stream here, as we're dumping into file, we want to get a file stream which basically is like another pipe to where the file is, and it sort of sucks it out of there and we'll stream it. So let's call it image stream. All right, and here all we want to specify is the image. Okay, the name of the image. So let's implement this. And in here, we want to return new file stream. So path.combine image path, where we saved it, and we want to combine it with the image name. So file access, we're going to read it, and before that we want to specify the file mode as well, where we're basically going to be opening the file and we're going to be reading it. So here's our stream. We access it for our file manager again, and let's go ahead into our home controller, since we want to be able to display the image anywhere really. And let's create a public action result. and just call it image, where we're going to be accepting a string of image. And let's specify a route for it. So you can specify the route like so, and there are ways so you can layer the routing, but basically, quickly, you just want to basically say slash image slash image. So this will basically look for this path, and it's gonna ignore the home controller. So if you want, you can put the controller here like so, and it's basically gonna start following this convention. It's gonna look for home slash image, and whatever's after that, it's gonna populate this value here. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this and return new file stream result. So if we look what we need for this, we need a file stream and content type. Okay, so in here, same as for the admin controller, we want to I file stream, I file manager. Let's copy this, port it here, and so we go into the file manager and image stream. We pass in our image, and we need the MIME type. So again, if we hover it, it says content type. So let's just get the MIME, same as we do, and you'll just quickly see this is going to be a slight difference. So we can just copy the code from here, this line here where we set the MIME. Go into our home controller, and instead of, we don't need this file name here, so substring, and we don't want the dot, so we just add one index of 1. So we just basically say, right, where the dot is, but one step further. And here we want to say it's going to be an image and the MIME of it. Right, so it's going to be like image slash JPEG or image slash PNG. So this is pretty much it. Let's go ahead and try to display this image in our blog post. So here in our post, make it between the title and the body. Want to say if model dot image, if we have it, if it's not null or empty, display the image. So what do we put in the source? So let's make a variable, image path. And here we can specify the path that we said here, slash image. And model dot image name, right? And let's do this here. Let's use this here. Okay, let's run this. It's going to here. Boom, huge image, right? Let's make this a little smaller so we can see it. Refresh. All right. So if we look at the source of the image, right? If you hover this, you can see that it's not actually loading from the static, oh, sorry, not from the blog content. It's getting it from this route here. So we're streaming the image as opposed to sort of serving it through static content. So here you can see we're serving for static, and here we basically have a dynamic image that we stream. So this is what you want to do. If you have a dynamic image, you want to stream it. If you have a static image, just serve it, and you can basically just drag and drop it into your views. But this is basically how you want to handle images in your .NET Core app. And key points to not forget is, which you probably will, is in the startup file. This is usually included in your template projects, but if it's not, if you don't have this, any static files you have in your www root folder are going to be ignored. Another thing, in your form, you don't want to forget the enc type. Otherwise, the input that you're going to send is going to be null. Other than, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them all. And as always, see you in the next episode.